Because I'm really worried that without the Senate, and I know it's in disarray, is that if we just have the kind of parliament we have now, we have nothing else to do.
Well, if we're looking at reforming the system, and I think it's always good to have a model in mind of what would be best, I look at New Zealand. New Zealand has proportional representation in its House of Commons, and they come from exactly the same tradition that we do out of Westminster parliamentary democracy. They still are a Westminster parliamentary democracy. They're a constitutional monarchy. They're just like us, except they have mixed member proportional election in their House of Commons, and they abolished their Senate. Now, to do what you just described, and in case the question didn't carry, what if it was an elected Senate and they didn't have partisan affiliations and they had term limits? What would be wrong with that? To do that, we have to open the Constitution. So if we're going to have to open the Constitution, I'd rather abolish the Senate than open the Constitution and create an elected Senate, where the risk would be that it would be like in the United States, where you had gridlock between Senate and House all the time. Sober second thought, the way the Senate used to function, I could defend. Until Stephen Harper ruined it by appointing a bunch of thugs, the Senate was a pretty useful, non-threatening part of our tradition, because the senators themselves knew that because they were unelected, they lacked the legitimacy to defeat any bills passed by the democratically elected House. It's only since Stephen Harper told the Conservatives to kill Bruce Heyer's climate bill that I've been so freaked out about the Senate. If we could get rid of all the people who are currently there and, reappoint based on, for instance, what's the least well-represented level of government in Canada that has the most important work to do? It's municipalities, right? So if we could create in the Senate a voice for municipalities and had some kind of balancing there that's also regional, that could work. But I'm so afraid that Stephen Harper has stacked it with relatively young people who will be there for quite a long time, that I think and his so-called bill, it is a bill, but the so-called reforms in the bill he's put forward call for not the election of senators, because you can't do that under the Constitution, without opening the Constitution. He pretends, and he'll certainly will hear a lot in the election campaign, that he tried to get an elected Senate and the opposition party stopped him. What they put forward is a requirement that provinces hold elections for a list of names to be considered by the Prime Minister as possible senators. It puts additional costs on the provinces, and also it says in the bill that you might be able to do this in conjunction with municipal elections, except, by the way, in municipal elections, people can vote who are taxpayers in the municipality but live somewhere else, so you get 2 votes. So how is the province or municipality supposed to sort that out? And each province has different rules around political donations, so how does that work? It's a dog's breakfast of a mess of a bill. It's emanated from the Senate side, and Stephen Harper pretends that it's a bill about an elected Senate. The Prime Minister would still appoint senators. And so it's a sham bill, as many of his bills are. But I think it would, I think we really need to have a royal commission or a public inquiry that tours the country and takes on board for Canadians all the issues that are problems. The Senate, first past the post, the unhealthy, monstrous powers of the Prime Minister's office, the lack of independence and autonomy for individual members of Parliament to represent their constituents. I mean, it's a fairly discreet list of, say, the top 6 things that are killing democracy, and get Canadians engaged. I mean, I have my own solutions for the Senate, but none of them are easy because of the constitutional, to open the Constitution of this country is a big deal. And the provinces right now oppose changes in the Senate. That are an elected Senate. Well, I mentioned other models. New Zealand abolished its Senate. Australia has a Senate elected by proportional representation. So that's another option. There are many ways we can play around with it. My concern is that an elected Senate will create a very different form of parliamentary democracy in which we could have gridlock, and that may not, in fact, be what we most want. On the other hand, anything's better than the current situation. I think that's the